A UN report titled Caribbean Gangs, Drugs, Firearms, and Gangs Networks in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Guyana, and TT, released on September 2nd, revealed that Venezuelan criminal gangs are engaging in serious crimes in Trinidad and Tobago. These gangs operate both in competition and collaboration with local gangs. The report highlighted the types of crimes committed by Venezuelan criminals in Trinidad and Tobago, including extortion, human trafficking, and the smuggling of illegal drugs and firearms. Trinidad and Tobago is described as having a thriving drug trade, acting as a major transit point for cocaine and cannabis. The country's proximity to Venezuela, just 11 kilometers away, and its location outside the hurricane belt make it an attractive site for organized crime networks, allowing for year-round trafficking. Strong cultural ties between southern Trinidad and Venezuela have facilitated extensive trafficking of drugs, guns, and migrants in areas like Icacos, Cedros, and Moruga. The report noted that Trinidad and Tobago has long been plagued by drug transshipment, trafficking, and high rates of violent crime. The report stated that the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard faces challenges in screening maritime traffic, with its interdiction efforts further hampered by limited cooperation with its Venezuelan counterpart, the Guardia Nacional. Drugs are primarily supplied to Trinidad and Tobago from Venezuela, with additional supplies coming from Guyana and Suriname via commercial freight, private go-fast boats, and fishing vessels. Despite public perception that drug trafficking has increased, the report noted that drug seizures have decreased in recent years. While cannabis seizures rose from 2,890 kilograms in 2019 to 3,487 kilograms in 2021, they dropped sharply to 584 kilograms in 2023-2022. Cocaine seizures also fell from 320 kilograms in 2019 to just 20 kilograms in 2022. The report suggested that these figures likely underestimate the true extent of drug trafficking in Trinidad and Tobago. Despite the decline in reported seizures, the report mentioned two significant drug busts last year that indicate a thriving drug economy. In May, Trinidad and Tobago police, with assistance from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, seized 168 kilograms of cocaine in chaguaramas destined for the U.S. In August 2023, 46 kilograms of cocaine washed ashore in Manzanilla and Mayaro after a boat containing 3 tons of cocaine capsized. The report also mentioned that cocaine was found packed into car parts destined for Antigua from Trinidad and Tobago. While some firearms are reported to enter Trinidad and Tobago from Venezuela, the vast majority of weapons used by criminal groups are sourced from the United States. Some handguns and assault rifles are suspected of being exchanged in guns for drugs and guns for food trades with Venezuelans, although the extent of this trafficking remains unclear. Firearms from the U.S. arrive directly in Trinidad and Tobago or via countries like Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. The report noted the increasing prevalence of assault rifles due to high local demand, low costs, and ease of movement through customs and excise. It also pointed out the lack of prosecutions for high-level dealers, brokers, and shippers who facilitate the illegal firearm trade, with police estimates indicating around 8,154 illegal firearms in circulation in the country. The report also mentioned the historical context of the drug trade in Trinidad and Tobago, which in the 1980s and 1990s was dominated by a few drug kingpins, including the late Nankasoon Dole Chadi Boudram. It highlighted reports of high-level collusion between drug traffickers and senior police officials during that period. Additionally, it noted the presence of Jamaican criminal groups operating in Trinidad and Tobago since the 1990s. The report raised concerns about the increasing presence of Venezuelan gangs in Trinidad and Tobago, some of which are reportedly involved in smuggling firearms. The report detailed that Trinidad and Tobago has the highest number of Venezuelan migrants per capita in the world, with 60,000 Venezuelans arriving since 2015, far exceeding the 16,523 legally registered migrants. While studies suggest that migrants are no more likely to commit crimes than locals, the arrest of a high-level gang member in 2019 raised concerns. Authorities arrested Darwin El Coulon Garcia Gibori, the leader of the Evander gang, along with 7 other Venezuelans and a Trinidadian fisherman in Point 14, southern Trinidad. The gang is involved in both extorting boats carrying Venezuelan migrants and ferrying drugs and arms. Garcia Gibori was later jailed for 5 years after pleading guilty to gun charges. The report stated that Evander, the Deltano Liberation Front, has embedded members in Trinidad and Tobago gangs, citing police and immigration sources. The report also mentioned concerns that some former gang members provide services to various local gangs, including the Muslim gang in Port of Spain, as well as gangs in Point Fortin and Chaguanas. It noted evidence of tensions between local gangs and Venezuelan groups, as Trinidadian middlemen who previously facilitated drug and firearms trafficking are being sidelined. As of last year, Trinidad and Tobago had 186 local gangs with 1,700 members, down from 211 gangs with 2,450 members in 2019. Most street gangs are connected to umbrella gangs, which set terms of engagement on the streets and in prisons, such as the Muslim and Rasta City 7 gangs. In the East-West corridor, smaller gangs are challenging the dominance of larger gangs. The report indicated that a relatively small number of larger gangs are heavily involved in the drugs and firearms trade and have diversified into other criminal activities, such as human trafficking, contract killings, kidnapping, extortion, illegal quarrying, ATM fraud, and racketeering. The rise in violence and the development of gang culture in Trinidad and Tobago are attributed to intergenerational impoverishment that causes social vulnerability. The report stated that half of the gang members are aged 19 to 25, and the other half are over 25, with a drop in age contributing to increased violence between gangs. It also pointed out that public contracts are widely recognized as a means to feed organized crime, with arrests and prosecutions of higher-level gang members being rare, and low-level members often convicted instead. The report claimed that police often need assistance from gang leaders to identify suspects, which in turn amplifies the legitimacy and credibility of gang leaders. The report further highlighted the impact of high levels of police corruption on community reluctance to cooperate. It stated that the proximity and close nature of communities also affect police willingness to prosecute gangs, as gang members know where police officers and their families live. The introduction of the report discussed the involvement of business elites and organizations in linking the drug trade between different countries. It noted that while most gangs are parochial, a small number of transnational criminal organizations are key facilitators of the drug trade throughout the Caribbean, often connected to criminal organizations in North America, South America, and Western Europe. Some business elites were noted to facilitate gang and trafficking activities in the Caribbean, with their involvement being open secrets, yet publicly available information about these entities and their activities is extremely limited.